Congratulations! You are working with the newest roller transport processor from Air Techniques, the AT2000XR. With your AT2000XR, you can develop the highest quality films from zero-size periavicals to 8x10 cephalometrics. Developing high-quality films consistently is by design. Our state-of-the-art microprocessor automatically controls processing, chemistry, temperature, and replenishment, taking the guesswork out of film processing. To ensure years of reliable service, processor performance, and film quality, review the installation checks and the operation and maintenance procedures in the manual and in this video. The first thing you should do is make sure your AT2000XR is installed correctly before you process any films. Start by checking that the temperature in the darkroom is less than 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The AT2000XR will generate a fair amount of heat, therefore it's important that there is adequate ventilation. Next, check that the drain hoses slope downward into an open drain pipe or into recovery containers. Be careful that there are no U's or upward bends in these hoses. If using a standpipe trap, the hose must end at least 6 inches above the water level. If you're using recovery containers, it should be a minimum of 2 inches above the solution level. If your model includes water recirculation, check that the wash water inlet hose is inserted to the bottom of the container and that the wash water drain hose reaches the bottom of the water label. Make sure at the start of every day that the fresh water in the container is level with the bottom of the water label. It is normal for the water level in the container to drop several inches once you begin to process film. Be sure to check that there is at least 6 inches clearance above the AT2000XR so that the cover can be removed for service and maintenance. Then make sure the unit is level. Check the leveling frame to see if the bubble is centered. If it's not, turn the leveling feet until it is. Next, if the tanks are empty, follow these instructions. First, fill the fixer tank to the fill line marker. Make sure you pour slowly to avoid any splashing or dripping. If dripping or splashing does occur, make sure to clean it up before filling the developer tank. Next, add 2 ounces of starter to the developer tank and fill with developer to the fill line marker. Slowly lower each rack assembly into its tank to avoid splashing. Wipe up any stray drops of chemistry. When lowered, make sure the rack gears are seated correctly. Finally, slide each color-coded rack latch into the locked position. You should begin each day with a startup review. First, check the chemistry in the fixer and developer replenishment bottles. If there is 1 inch or less of chemistry, change these bottles. For best results, we suggest replacing the replenishment bottles every 2 weeks, even if there is chemistry remaining. You should never use the last 1 inch of chemistry, as chemistry oxidizes over time and becomes depleted. Now turn on the main water supply and the power switch. When the power switch is turned on, power, temperature, and normal speed indicator lights illuminate. In 15 to 35 minutes, the ready light illuminates. The temperature displayed should read 82 degrees Fahrenheit, the factory set point. Before processing, run a new cleaning film at normal speed to pick up any deposits that may have formed on the rollers. During the day, run a new cleaning film if no films are processed for 2 or more hours. It's important to always use a new cleaning film. Never wash and reuse a cleaning film. Your AT2000XR is automatically set for normal speed. This 5.5-minute cycle is ideal for all cephalometric, panoramic, and intraoral films for optimum density and archival quality. The 2.5-minute endo speed is only for number 2 size films, used for endodontic and other procedures not requiring archival quality. To activate endo speed, press the keypad when the processor is in standby mode. That's when the processing light is off. When activated, the endo speed indicator light flashes as a reminder that the processor is set to this speed. Please note that only one number 2 film can be processed at a time while in this mode. When a film is inserted, processing starts automatically. Wait until the processing light stops flashing before inserting the next film. When processing intraoral films, insert them lengthwise and straight with the marker point entering last. To prevent overlapping, start with tracks 1, 3, 5. Then use 2, 4, 6. The films are processed and then exit in the same sequence. Notice that the processor will return to standby mode when the last film exits. Please note, it is not possible to switch from normal speed to endo speed when in the middle of a processing cycle. However, it is possible to change to normal speed when film is being processed in endo speed. Also, never run an endo film back through the processor. If you do, fixer residue on the film will contaminate the developer chemistry and the developer tank itself. Always remember at the end of the day to turn off the power switch and the water supply. Also, to minimize chemistry oxidation, it is suggested that the cover remain closed when the processor is not in use. One final note. If your processor has water recirculation, dispose of the used wash water at the end of each day. Then thoroughly rinse the container and fill it with fresh water. Cleaning your AT2000XR in regular weekly, monthly, and quarterly intervals is critical in maintaining quality processor performance. We recommend using Spray 2000 and Formula 2000 cleansers, especially formulated for your processor. For complete instructions, follow the maintenance procedures in the manual and in this video. To begin the weekly maintenance process, turn off the power switch and unplug the line cord. Then, disconnect the processor cover electrical cable and remove the cover itself. First, slide open the rack latches, then lift each rack assembly straight up and directly to the side to avoid dripping chemistry into adjacent tanks. Place one rack at a time in the sink. First rinse the rack, then thoroughly moisten with Spray 2000. Use the color-coded sponges that come with each case of Air Techniques chemistry to loosen and remove stubborn deposits. Be sure to rotate gears while cleaning, and don't forget the side plates. Rinse each rack with warm running water to remove all traces of the cleaner so you don't accidentally contaminate the chemistry. Allow the racks to drain. The baffle plates in the wash-dry rack should be removed during cleaning. Be sure to replace them the same way you remove them. First, the inner baffle, then the outer baffle. If they are not replaced correctly, films may not dry properly. When the racks have drained, slowly lower each rack into its tank to avoid splashing. If you do splash on the film inlet, wipe it up with a moistened towel. Make sure that each rack assembly is seated properly and locked in. Reassemble the cover and power cables. Turn on the AT2000XR. After the ready light illuminates, run a new cleaning film. Take a moment to review these important steps. Before you begin, turn off the power, disconnect the electrical cables, and remove the processor cover. Remove the rack assemblies, unscrew and remove the fixer, developer, and wash tank drain tubes. Let the tanks drain completely. When draining into recovery containers, make sure they don't overflow. Replace the drain tubes. Fill all 3 tanks with warm water, then drain. Repeat this drain, fill, drain sequence 3 more times for a total of 4 times. Now locate the chemistry agitators in the bottom of the developer and fixer tanks. These agitators mix the chemistry in the tanks, preventing crystallization and optimizing chemistry performance. To make sure the agitators move freely, they must be disassembled and cleaned. Remove the thumb screw, plastic cap, magnet, washer, and ceramic post. Clean all these parts with Spray 2000 and warm water. Rinse and set aside. Now, Wipe the tanks with separate sponges to eliminate any chemistry residue. Reassemble the chemistry agitators, replace the drain tubes, and fill the developer and fixer tanks with warm water to the fill line marker. Replace the cover, reconnect the electrical connections. Press and hold cleaning mode and turn on the power at the same time. Let the processor run for 2 minutes to rinse the tanks and agitators. Initial chemistry replenishment does not occur during the cleaning mode cycle. Now, shut off the power, remove the cover, and drain all 3 tanks. Dry each tank with a separate paper towel or sponge. Do not leave any standing water in the tanks to dilute the chemistry. Then replace the color-coded drain tubes. Now, refill the tanks with fresh chemistry. The next step is to clean the rack assemblies as you did in the weekly maintenance procedure. Once done, you can then reinstall the racks. Turn on the power and when ready illuminates, run a new cleaning film. Take a moment to review these important steps. Is there an ammonia odor coming from your processor? Does the developer look black instead of the tea color it should be? Are the white gears on the side of the developer rack stained gray or black? If you answered yes to any or all of these questions, your developer is contaminated. Don't wait for your scheduled quarterly maintenance. Do it now. To perform your quarterly maintenance procedure, first turn off the power. Close the water supply valve. Disconnect the electrical cables and remove the cover. Remove the rack assemblies. Rinse and set aside. Follow the drain, fill, drain sequence 4 times for all the tanks as in the monthly maintenance procedure. If the wash tank is not dirty or shows no evidence of contamination, replace the drain tube and the rack assembly. Now, replace the fixer drain tube. Fill the fixer tank with water. Install the rack assembly. Remember, never use Formula 2000 in the fixer tank. Then, replace the developer drain tube and pour Formula 2000, Component 1, into the developer tank. Fill the tank with water to the fill line marker. Next, sprinkle Component 2 evenly across the tank. Notice how Formula 2000 immediately begins its deep cleaning chemical action. At this point, you may notice some vapor and odor. Therefore, do this in a well-ventilated area. Before placing the developer rack in the tank, dip each end into the Formula 2000 solution to dissolve any buildup and deposits on the gears and end plates. If the wash tank is dirty or contaminated, clean it with Formula 2000. Follow the same procedure for the developer tank, but only after you block the weep hole in the drain tube with the special washer included with your processor. This washer prevents the tank from draining during cleaning. Remember to remove the washer after cleaning and save it for future use. Now, replace the cover and reconnect the electrical cables. Press and hold cleaning mode and turn on the power at the same time to activate the 10-minute cycle. If deeper cleaning is required, press cleaning mode again when the first cycle ends. Occasionally, while the processor is running, lift the cover and wipe the rollers and drive gears above the solution level to loosen any remaining deposits. Close the cover so that the rollers resume rotating in the cleaning solution. When the cycle ends, turn off the power, disconnect the electrical cables, and remove the processor cover. Remove the rack assemblies and clean as in the weekly maintenance procedure. Remove all traces of Formula 2000 to avoid contaminating the fresh chemistry. Set aside to drain. Remove the drain tubes and drain the tanks. Now, fill the tanks with water, replace the cover, and reconnect the electrical cables. Press and hold cleaning mode and turn on the power at the same time to flush out any remaining cleaning solution. Turn off the power switch after 2 minutes. Lift the cover and drain the tanks. Reinstall the drain tubes and fill the developer and fixer tanks with water. Turn on the water supply valve. Then turn on the power switch to flush any Formula 2000 that may have gotten into the replenishment lines. Turn off the power switch after 2 minutes. For the final rinse, follow the drain, fill, drain sequence for all the tanks 2 more times. Wipe the tanks with paper towels. Then fill the tanks with fresh chemistry, replace the racks, and process a new cleaning film. Take a moment to review these important steps. Since 1962, Air Techniques has been dedicated to the development and manufacture of innovative products for the dental industry. Every Air Techniques product, including your AT2000XR, is supported by an extensive network of authorized dealers. Today, with a reputation earned through ingenuity and an attention to detail, the Air Techniques name represents superior quality to the professionals who use our products.